Finance Minister Nicola Willis has delivered her first budget and she joins me now.
Hello.
Hello. Well, it must be, I suppose, a pretty exciting time for you, the first budget. Is it?
Yeah, it is. It feels good to be delivering on the commitments we made to New Zealanders 6 months ago on the campaign trail and to be setting the country in a stronger path.
Obviously, you're facing criticism from the opposition parties, which is not unexpected, but they're arguing, for instance, the changes to tax thresholds, tax cuts, you're having to borrow for them. Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure that the opposition have quite decided what their position is yet. I've heard them both say the tax cuts aren't big enough, that they're too big, that they would have done them and they wouldn't have done them. But look, we're funding them responsibly. We always said that we would fund our tax reduction through a program of reprioritisation and savings. We've delivered that. We've set out very carefully how each dollar of our tax reduction is paid for, which means it's fiscally neutral and very responsible.
And you've set aside $3.2 billion in terms of the operating allowance. And in terms of the increases, though, in spending and health and education, again, opposition parties say that that's enough to keep the lights on, But I'm just wondering, though, too, overall, about the spending pressures, both from cost rises but from demand pressures too in those areas. If I think of superannuation, I think in the 9 months to the end of March, I think it was $2 billion more on super and some benefits than the previous year. Are you confident that you'll be able to stick with the spending numbers you've got in this budget?
Yes, I am. I'm also conscious that it is going to require an ongoing value for money program in which we keep looking for areas where we can make savings, where dollars aren't going to their best use, so we can reprioritise them for the front line. We've proven our ability to do that in this budget. In the past 6 months, we've found around $5.9 billion of average annual savings. That's around $23 billion over the forecast period. And we've done that so we can fund those pressing needs in frontline services with a big boost to health funding, to education funding, to law and order. And it's our intention that as we move forward and that those smaller operating allowances, we keep up that discipline of making sure resources are going to their best use. You know, the alternative was this. We were told that if we stuck with the big operating allowances pledged by the last government, we wouldn't have hit a surplus until 2031. That is far too long for New Zealand to be accumulating debt.
In terms of tax, I mean, obviously one of the things you're doing is, and it's been well announced for a long time, is interest deductibility for landlords. But you're scrapping depreciation for commercial buildings. Inland Revenue, I think, advised that potentially could be bad for productivity. And we see in the budget update from the Treasury, productivity is pretty appalling over the last decade. And look, which is one of the reasons their economic forecasts are so much grimmer. I mean, what are you going to do to try and lift productivity?
Well, I certainly share Treasury's concern about productivity because ultimately it is growth in this economy that will lift people's incomes and ensure that we can afford the services that New Zealanders expect. There's 5 key things that our government is focused on for productivity. The first is lifting educational achievement. That has been on a serious slide and is a real problem for the future of our economy. We're lifting educational achievement. The second area is delivering better infrastructure to support freight and movement around the country. The third area is better regulation, removing roadblocks, including for the development of major projects through the fast-track consenting. Fourth, it's about connecting with the world and allowing global capital to flow here. And finally, it's about science and innovation and being smart about the way we do that with our government spending. So we've got a big productivity agenda. Obviously, budgets focus on the spending and the revenue side, but we are working at pace to deliver reform for the sake of growth.
And when you look at on the budget side in terms of the spending, though, where do you see the biggest impact from the spending in this budget?
In terms of productivity?
Yeah.
Education. Education, I think, is the single biggest thing we can do to lift the future productivity of this economy. There's a big multi-billion-dollar investment for education in this budget, but unlike budgets of recent times, it's not about funding the Ministry of Education. In fact, we've reprioritised more than $400 million from the Ministry. It's really about what's going on in our classrooms. So you've seen us fund a program to get structured literacy as the approach for all of our schools so that children are learning to read and write better. You've seen that we've got a new program to train more teachers. We're focused on lifting attendance. And we're acknowledging the fact that some kids don't do well in the mainstream school system, and we're funding charter schools to provide alternative modes of education for those kids who might benefit from it.
From a business perspective, what's in the budget for business?
Well, I think every business in the country wants to see inflation back under control and interest rates coming down. I think every business in the country knows that when New Zealanders have confidence again, because they've got more cash in their pockets, when they can see their mortgages getting more affordable, that's when business will get a lot easier. And this budget charts that very clear path. It shows inflation coming back into band, which will allow interest rates to come down. It shows growth recovering, and it shows more income for the New Zealand customers that New Zealand businesses depend on.
I mean, budgets can be as much a political document as an economic one. Are you confident that the tax cut package you've put up is going to, I guess, win the government's support, I guess, from taxpayers? Or is there a danger that either they won't think it's enough or they'll bank it and then expect more?
Well, I think it's just a bit simpler than that, which is Christopher Luxon and I and our team went to New Zealanders at the last election and pledged we would deliver them tax relief. We're delivering on our commitments, and I think that is a very important part of the political relationship we have with New Zealand voters.
Okay, and in terms of other, obviously delivering on commitments as part of the coalition agreement, for instance, you've got the regional fund with New Zealand First, you've got the money for the gumboot mental health. But are you confident that they're really good value for money, or is that part of just sealing a coalition deal?
Yeah, look, the Gumboot Friday initiative, I think, represents very good value for money because we're going to be getting thousands upon thousands of extra counselling sessions out of that organisation for young people in a way that will actually relieve pressure on the rest of the mental health service. So I think that's a great thing to be doing. And when young people are doing better, families are doing better, everyone's doing better. That is a proven organisation that has delivered value for money in the past, and we think that's good spend. When it comes to the Regional Infrastructure Fund, look, just about every mayor I've visited around the country has said to me that they want to see investment in infrastructure, whether that's for climate adaptation, whether that's for growth, and that fund will provide another tool by which we can make those investments and help our regions grow.
You were critics, of course, of the previous Provincial Growth Fund, which kind of did a similar thing, didn't it?
Well, I think that Shane Jones has learned some lessons there, and certainly the way we've put this fund together, we're expecting there to be good business cases, but good planning, good value for money.
Nicola Willis, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
To support our award-winning independent journalism, subscribe to nbr.co.nz.